Computer. Okay, everyone, I just would love to welcome you all on here this evening. My name is G. Fletcher, and this is week 12. So we've got a great training tonight with Pollyanna Lenkic, Mindset Matters. So we're really looking forward to this. For those of you who don't know me, my name is G. Fletcher. I'm an elite Pro 7 from the Sunshine Coast, but as you can tell by my accent, it's definitely not Australian. So I'm Irish. I've lived over here now for 28 years. So I'm married with 2 kids, and I've been with LifeVantage now for nearly 2 years. Our 2-year anniversary is coming up very, very soon. So for all our new distributors, I'd love to just say a big warm welcome from me to you. And please don't be shy. Say hi to lots of us, friend request us, and yeah, let us know that you're in the team. We love seeing new people join every week. And I know there's quite a few after joining this week, so no doubt I'll get to know you over the next few weeks. So this evening, if you just want to go along there, Pollyanna, and I'll just do you. So this evening we have Pollyanna Lenkic. And Pollyanna, this is a part 2 series. So last week we had Tanya Southey, and Pollyanna is carrying on from this basically with Mindset Matters. We are what we think. So Pollyanna Lenkic, I've got to know her over the last 6 months. What a beautiful, gorgeous lady. Love her to bits. She's just got such a heart for giving and really is always wanting to help you and challenge you. And I start giving her a coaching lesson, and it ends up that she's giving me one by the end nearly. She's super smart, and yeah, love working with her. So if you don't know her, give her a big hi and get to know her, because she's super smart, and she's an entrepreneur, a coach, an author of Women and Success. It's a great book that I've been reading. You should all get one of these. It's a brilliant book. And tonight she's really going to be really unpacking about how our mindset drives the core of our actions and our inactions. So this session will provide us with insightful into the unhelpful narratives that hold us back, powerful strategies to bust our barriers, and a game plan to move forward and create the results that are meaningful. So people pay, and companies pay tens and thousands of dollars to have this woman come and present for them. So we are so honored that she was like, man, I'd love to share things that I know. And she's really excited about this. So I just want to give her lots of love and encouragement and say thank you so much for coming on and doing this for us. We are so appreciative. So yeah, give her lots of love in the chats. Over to you, Pollyanna. Thank you.
Gee, thank you so much. And thank you to everyone for taking up your time on a Monday night to join me. I've got 2 screens on the go, so my chat's going to be on this screen. So if I miss a chat, Jean, if you pick something up that's really, that we could speak to, then please have my back. That would be great, because I've just got 2 laptops on the go to manage the content. So Tanya delivered a session last week, which was sensational, and if you weren't on that call, please go back and listen to it. I have been working with the Keegan stuff for years, and every time I go back and do an immunity map, I uncover something new, as I did as I was working through the training with Tanya last week. So Tanya, thank you so much. That was incredibly insightful. So today we're going to build on that, and there's a mindset on its own isn't enough. So I'll be talking a little bit more about that and what that means. There are things that enable our mindset, and there are things that disable our mindset or have us be stuck. So we're going to look there as well. And one of those things that I wanted to single out was limiting beliefs. We all have them because we're human. And because we're human, we sometimes are at our best and sometimes not so much, and something in between. If you type limiting beliefs into Google, you'll get 2,490,000 responses. If you type top 5 limiting beliefs into Google, you'll get 791,000 results. Mindset brings up a whopping 26,600,000 responses. And there are 9,000 titles to choose from on Amazon. on mindset and 332 titles on limiting beliefs to choose from. So what does this tell us? This tells us that we have a lot to say about limiting beliefs and mindset. It also tells us that we are intensely curious about what this means for us in our lives. So if you look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, apparently now the need to have a mobile phone is the top, so my children tell me. However, it means that as we evolve and we develop ourselves as whether it be humanity or self, there are things that will enable us to leave a lasting legacy in this world. And mindset and the action around it are some key ingredients in that. So what is mindset? It's a thought or belief about something or someone, according to the Cambridge Dictionary. So if you refer to somebody's mindset, you mean their general attitudes and the way they typically think about things. That's important. They say we have 50,000 thoughts a day and tomorrow we'll have 90% of the same thoughts. I'm always a little scared about that. They used to say it was 64,000, so it depends on whose research you're reading. So what we think and how we feel bathes every cell in our body. That tells us that's incredibly important for not just the results that we get, the impact that we have in our lives, but also for our health and well-being. So in essence, we create our world, our results from the foundation of how we think. We create our health and well-being because it bathes every cell in our body from the way we think. And then we collect evidence to support it because we don't see the world as it is. We see the world through the lens of who we are. And that starts to drive our action or inaction at a really deep subconscious level. So I get really excited about this. And there are times when I have to take stock and think, who's driving what I'm doing right now? Is it those subconscious held beliefs that continue to drive those habitual patterns of behavior? And some of them not always helpful. The irony of expertise is that no matter how often you examine this, because we're human, we will fall off the wagon. So it's more complex than just having a mindset. Carol Dweck and her colleagues have shown that everyone has a mindset, a core belief about how they learn. So Dweck did some studies in 2006 and determined that people with a growth mindset are those who have the smarts their smartness. They believe their smartness increases with hard work. Whereas those with a fixed mindset believe that you can learn things, but you can't change your basic level of intelligence. So it's that saying that says you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, my friend Charles, who gave up skydiving last March at 92, would disagree with you because he still works and sits on boards and makes a massive difference in the world. He gave up skydiving because he didn't want to drive to the airfield anymore because the traffic was upsetting him, not because he didn't want to jump out of a plane at 92 years of age, which is just absolutely awesome. So Dweck's work showed that people can change their mindset and start to believe that they can learn to high or higher levels. And what this does is changes your learning pathways to do just that. It actually creates new neural pathways, so you start to literally think differently because you're no longer skiing in those same ski tracks. So you come out of your ski lodge and you look down at the ski tracks. They're the ones you skied yesterday. They're the thoughts that you had yesterday that you're having again today. Whereas you have to consciously choose to make new tracks, hence makes a new neural pathways, therefore create a new thought and new actions and outcomes that result from that. So students with a fixed mindset, according to Dweck's study, was that they're more likely to give up easily, whereas students with a growth mindset are persistent and they'll keep going until the work is done, regardless of how hard it is. That's the same with us. We're students. So the evidence is absolutely overwhelming. Mindset does matter. Now, when this is me jumping out of an airfield, I think that was Spain, I can't quite remember. In November 2000, I launched myself out of an aeroplane, perfectly good aircraft, with a whole bunch of other people to build a formation over Malindi Beach in Kenya. I hit my head on the way out of the plane, which is a really foolish thing to do, and knocked myself unconscious. I was absolutely out for the count, feeling quite nauseous, came to at about 5,000 feet. And up there you have 3 seconds to save your life. That's it. So the decisions that you make in those 3 seconds determine whether you die or live. I looked around, the formation was falling below me. We probably had about 1,000 feet separation. I made the decision to take myself down and not deploy my chute until just under 2,000 feet, which is quite low. Normally we open at 2,000 feet. I knew there were sharks in the water because we'd had some spotted that day, so I couldn't land there. I also, the landing area was quite tight. The tide was in, and there were sun loungers, kite surfers, tourists, palm trees, all manner of things on the beach, plus what seemed like hundreds of local children watching the skydivers come in for the day. Now, when I share that story when I'm running a conference, I always ask people what saved my life that day. So anyone in the chat box, how do I see the chat box? Where's that? Where do I see the chat box?
Underneath. Where
Underneath.
the share screen is, the chat's next to it.
Can't see. Gee, if you see some chats,
okay.
What saved my life that day? Can someone just shout out some things?
Yeah, quick decision making. Sounds just written. Survival instincts, you're thinking, fight or flight, your commitment.
Okay. So none of that. Thank you. I was leading the witness, Your Honours, sorry. Absolutely none of that. What saved my life that day was muscle memory. People like to say, oh, you were confident, you got lucky. Actually, no, muscle memory saved my life, because when we looked at the video to debrief, I was falling completely stable. Muscle memory saved my life. Out of the 525 skydives I did, every single jump I would spend 15 to 20 minutes muscle memorying the jump. So I actually would put it into my bones. I'd move and I'd feel, you exaggerate that motion. So survival and getting things done is a little like doing your GST. It's not sexy. It's not the exciting part, but if you don't do it, you haven't got a business. What kept me alive was muscle memory, and building muscle memory is what builds the confidence to be able to do things. So one of the things that I'm hearing constantly is, I don't have the confidence to do that. Or maybe when I build my confidence, I will be able to do it. Waiting for confidence is like waiting for a train that hasn't been scheduled. You're going to be waiting for a very long time. So start to think about what's the cadence and the rhythm, effectively the GST of your mindset and how you operate this business and whatever other business you're in, that will build that muscle memory so that everything else will come. Confidence was required the next day. I was jumping with there was a lot of great people on that trip, and a lot of ex-squaddies and SAS folk hang out at airfields. They broke into my hotel room the next morning and dragged me out for the 6 a.m. lift of the day. That took courage, not confidence. So sometimes we need courage to do the things that we need to do. They're the foundations and the building blocks that will help with our mindset. I hope that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Why is this not? There we go. So mindset on its own is not enough. What we need to incorporate that with action and results. It's a three-way scenario. I have a beautiful friend who used to always ring me up from when I was living in London. She'd call me from the UK, or from Hawaii, sorry, complaining that she was broke. She was always broke. And she said, but I'm doing my mantras. I've got my vision board. I've got all these things that are going to help me. And I said, well, sweetheart, but you're still on the pavement while they're repossessing your furniture again. So vision boards, visualization, mind, all of those things, very important foundations to mindset. However, so is action and the results, being really clear about the results that we want to get. So what we do is move on. When you intersect action and results, this is where you build capability and confidence. The confidence is, it will come. Like good old Kevin Costner said, because I'm that old. I don't know, my phone's ringing in the background. Let me just get rid of that. Here, quick. Someone take this phone call. Sean? Sorry, I'm going to hang up. I'm running a webinar. Sorry. Fine. I'll call you back. Text the other.
Oh, that's so cute. I haven't heard a landline.
Oh, my God. I didn't think to get rid of that. We only have a landline for Sean's parents who are in London. So I'm so sorry about that. We've thought about every scenario about that one. So where were we? So action. So you've got mindset, action and results. So when you intersect action and results, this is where you build capability. And as good old Kevin Costner said, build it and they will come. Build the list of goals, actions. What do you actually need to do? And what are some small things that you need to do? However, have the foundation of that from a growth and positive mindset. When you intersect results and mindset, this is where you set your strategic direction. Regardless whether it's the strategy of your business or goals for what you're doing personally or professionally in your lives. Get really clear about what it's going to take to get there. Would you get into a car or would you get on a plane with a pilot who hadn't thought to put fuel in the tank and hadn't thought to also map out a flight path? Probably not. When you intersect your mindset and action, that's towards conscious progress. And conscious progress is really important because so often we just do things unconsciously. So part of this work is to actually get conscious about what you're doing. Because when we don't, that's when we derail. So you want to empower yourself from the right mindset, but ensure that there's progress involved as well. So my favorite Japanese proverb is, action without vision is a nightmare, vision without action is a daydream. We need all to move forward effectively. So it is about mindset, but it's not just about mindset. So what happens when we come from a negative mindset and we regress and we have limiting beliefs? This is where it hinders our capability and confidence because we're just trying to focus on confidence alone and it's not enough. We're just trying to focus on mindset alone and it's not enough. What happens there is we derail, when we're coming from a limiting mindset, we derail our strategic directions and the path that we want to choose. Or we're just running along unconsciously towards an outcome that we don't want to, we're heading towards a land we don't want to live in. And when you're letting your unconscious drive your mindset, what happens is you're heading towards unconscious progress. You will progress. It's just you might not want to be there. I think Stephen Covey famously said, executives spend their whole lives climbing the corporate ladder only to realize that they're sitting against the wrong wall. So we don't want to do that. And that's when our lives tend to lack meaning and lack purpose. How are we going so far? So I want to share a framework and a template for you that will help with this. So think about beliefs. And I'm going to share a case study that's actually in my book. One of my clients, we work through this process. Now, when we have limiting beliefs, we have limiting behaviors that enable those beliefs and reinforce those beliefs and have them be true. And then we collect all sorts of evidence to prove that they are true. And then we get an outcome that we actually don't want, but we get to complain about that. And we get to blame others. John Gottman did some amazing research, late 60s, early 70s, where he did a sample of 500 plus couples. And within a 15-minute interview, regardless of whether they had just met, just had the first date and were still, in euphoric about each other's company or been married for 20 years and we're sort of happy but coasting along, or they were, just waiting for the kids to grow up so that they could separate. With a 97% accuracy, Gottman knew within 15 minutes whether this couple were going to divorce. And he realized four things were present: blame, contempt, stonewalling, and criticism. So what happens is when we get outcomes based on a limiting belief, with reinforcing behaviors that make that happen, we get to blame and we get to be angry with the world, and we get to be angry with ourselves. All great experiences, all the human experience, I say there's two paths in life, misery or joy. Knock yourself out. Both are absolutely valid human experiences. I personally would prefer to have joy. However, if misery is your gig, I can share a whole load of ways to be consciously miserable as well. Whatever that works for you. So what we want to do is you want to think about these desired beliefs, the limiting beliefs that we have, Hang on, my slides aren't behaving. And you want to shift them to a desired belief. So what's a belief that it doesn't matter if you don't believe it? It actually doesn't even matter if you think it's impossible for it to be true. What's exciting about this is your subconscious will drive the behaviors once you get conscious of them. And whether you believe it or not is irrelevant, because the moment you tell your subconscious that's a belief and get conscious about the behaviors that reinforce that belief, that will start to drive your behaviors and outcome. How exciting is that? So I'll give you an example. Here are some limiting beliefs from the case study I did. This was one of my clients who was going to a meeting with her boss and very senior people, but she felt that she was only there because her boss couldn't attend and because the meeting wasn't very important. And her belief was that my opinion isn't valued. But actually, when we drilled down, the real belief was I'm not good enough. And generally limiting beliefs distill down into those. It's either I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. There are various scripts. So in the same way you peel an onion, when you start to uncover beliefs that are holding you back, just keep looking under the hood. Okay, so what's underneath that? What's underneath that? And just keep going until you've exhausted all the possibilities. And generally it will come down to one of these beliefs. So the behaviors that we identified when she went to the meetings were she was defensive, she sulked, she exhibited really sulking behaviors, so she held back on information. She stayed silent in meetings because, and then when she did speak, she blurted, and often it wasn't relevant because the conversation had moved on. She was combative, so she was really argumentative to people in the room, always ready for a fight, so the amygdala hijack was on high alert. She was very resistant to learning or other people's ideas, and she was just obstructive. The outcomes of this was a loss of confidence for herself. She didn't demonstrate value or expertise. She had limited opportunities, and she limited her own opportunities because of these behaviours. She weakened her personalised reputation, and she missed opportunities. She also lost the thread of what was going on in meetings because she was so worried about what other people were going to think of her, or so nervous about what she was going to say, she usually blurted out something that wasn't relevant. She isolated herself and others, and she damaged a lot of relationships with people in more senior positions, particularly her boss. So what we did is we just created a desired belief. A coin has two sides. And again, it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. It actually makes no difference whatsoever. So what she did is we chose a new belief, and the belief just has to be the opposite side of the coin. I'm invited to this meeting because I have value to add. My opinion is valued was the next thing under the hood. And then I am good enough. Now, at the time, of course, this wasn't a belief that was held to be true. Does not matter. So what we did is we said, what's the behavior? What do I see when you believe this to be true? So if I'm watching, the version of the Kardashians in this meeting, what do we see when you believe that I'm good enough, my opinion is valued? And she said, well, I speak up more. And I went, well, that's great. So that's a behavior, speak up more. I'm less defensive. Okay, so when you're less defensive, what are you? I'm actually receptive. So what's really important is to actually capture the positive. So if you're less defensive, what's the other side of that coin? Well, the other side of the coin is you're more receptive, or whatever that is for you. So she had more positive body language. She smiled. She didn't smile at meetings. So she just started smiling. She had her behaviours demonstrated that she was at ease and happier regardless of whether she was or not. So smiling helped. So the outcome was that she started developing more presence and a stronger reputation. Now, I know this is an example of something else, but this translate to any of our lives, whether it be in a group situation socially, or whether it be when we're meeting new clients for the first time and talking about Protandim. Or potential new distributors. So participating and adding value and better results for the team, and ultimately better business decisions for the company was another outcome that would be a result of these behaviours. As would be everyone is participating inclusive, including me. So creating a more inclusive culture. But when you're including others, you're hearing what needs to be answered or you're hearing the questions, or maybe even hearing what's not being said. So this actually did increase her confidence. But remember, confidence is a state of being. It's not something you can do. Rhythm, cadence, picking up the phone and making 5 phone calls every day, that's a doing piece. And the result of that eventually the confidence will come. So what's the skills, the capabilities and things that we can do to enable this state of being? And when the two intersect, that's when magic happens. You know, who am I being while I'm doing what I'm doing? So she worked on doing more of these behaviours, of the desired behaviours, and her professional life changed. She called me one day really excited and said, "You'll never guess what happened. My boss's boss's boss came up to me at the end of the meeting and said, 'Thank you so much for your contributions today. You've actually got so much, it was so valuable. I'm so delighted that you're now coming to these meetings.'" She had been going to those meetings for 6 months. And that was the first time he'd noticed her. So, very different career outcomes for this person. So she had more options about the future of her company. And you know what? She was just a better person to be around. So she attracted better talent into her team. Really relevant when we're thinking about the types of distributors that we want to connect with and recruit into our team. Because life by design, do work you love with people you love. Is a motto from my thought leader community, and it's certainly a motto that I live by. So Walt Disney famously said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." That's awesome, Walt, but you know what? Unless you have a plan and get into action, then you're like my friend sitting on the pavement in Hawaii while her furniture is being repossessed again. So yes, absolutely dream it, visualize it, and then chunk it down into manageable steps of things that you can do. Otherwise, it's just a dream. And we need more than a dream. We need to get results. Now, we don't all have to be a Pollyanna with regards to, it's an American term, being excessively or blindly optimistic. They also talk about things being Pollyanna-ish. It's not about being crazily positive and thinking positive, because we are humans, and as holistic human beings, we have a range of emotions. And I think the movie Inside Out, I don't know how many people saw Inside Out, but the movie Inside Out did this beautifully when they talked about the sad character. Who saw Inside Out? I still can't find the chat box, I'm afraid. No? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Lots of people saying yes.
Great. Okay, so I have to find out where the chat box lives for the next one. So with Inside Out, they realised when Joy kept trying to suppress the sad, obviously everything started to derail. So it's not about being blindly optimistic and not acknowledging the feelings that we have. There are times when we feel sad. There are times when we have to deal with the cause of what's having us feel that way. Or sometimes we just go, today I'm feeling sad, and that's okay, because there's learning there and there's growth there. That's all part of a healthy mindset. It's not about squashing our other emotions other than joy. So positive psychology is incredibly helpful. However, it's not about suppressing the other emotions that we have. It's about recognizing. It's also almost that mindful piece where you observe it going past you and ask yourself what that means. So buddy up. It's really important to buddy up with people. After this session, working through your own beliefs and then determining, are these beliefs that hold me back? Are they driving me forward? And what are the behaviors? So working with a buddy, not only does it help with peer-to-peer group buddy support and accountability. So you're not getting together to talk about MasterChef or the Kardashians. You actually get together to do some work, and you say half an hour each. And in the same way that you might work through the immunity map, work through the limiting beliefs template and desired beliefs template. And a really helpful thing to do is when you start to think about your new desired belief, actually stand up. So get your buddy to stand up and say, when I go sit over there, I don't care if I believe it or not, Doesn't matter. But when I sit over there, I'm going to hold this belief as if it's true, because I know you have an imagination. We know that because we imagine all sorts of shocking things that could happen to us before they even do. Susan Scott Jeffers wrote a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. Such a valuable resource. And what she said fear stood for was false expectations affecting reality. And I also rebrand that to fear experienced affecting reality, because sometimes there's stuff that has happened in our past that does make us feel nervous and does have us feel a little bit more apprehensive. Like my daughter, when she, my eldest daughter, had to have a blood test last year and just refused. And I tried to coach her to have it, and did all the great, loving parenting. And then I just thought, you know what, you have to have a blood test. You've been ill. So I took her iPad and said, you can get your iPad back when you've had the blood test. And so by 8:30 the next morning, blood test done 30 seconds later. So the fear for 3 weeks was worse than the actual reality. So if we can actually identify what is the fear and, test it. Is it true? Find some safe to fail places to test out your theory. And I know Tanya covered that last week in her immunity to change session. So what is it that I'm fearful of? Am I frightened of talking to somebody about? Well, how about I just test it on some friendly people first and say, hey, I'm just testing this because I'm a little bit nervous. I had to do that to get over the mindset of all MLM marketers were just freaks and, scary people that belong to some sort of weird cult. So I had to actively work on my limiting beliefs around that. So I did the template and then I tested it out on some safe people and it got me over the line. So buddy up. Find someone that you can actually work with, not someone you can play with. And I think that's a really big distinction. Here's some resources. This will be on the slides. Brené Brown's The Power of Vulnerability. Fantastic TED Talk. Now, remember, when we're talking to clients, we don't want to vomit our vulnerability all over them. So it's about being vulnerable and sharing your story that links to your why. It's not about treating them like your psychologist or your therapist. So we don't want any Christmas party regret when we go over vulnerable in the wrong situation. The Power of Believing You Can Improve is Carol Dweck. She does remarkable work. So that's an absolute keeper and a great thing to watch all the time, I think. Some books, I thought I'd put mine up there as well. There's exercises and templates in this, including the limiting beliefs exercise that we just did. So it's full of case studies and scenarios to help you. Taming Your Gremlins is possibly, one of the best books I've actually read for identifying limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging behaviours. So it's done in cartoon style, and Richard D. Carlson gets you to draw your gremlins, hence putting names and image around the limiting beliefs or the sabotaging behaviours. Daring Greatly, how the courage to be vulnerable transforms the way we live, Love, Parent and Lead by Brené Brown. Again, an incredibly useful resource, as is Rising Strong and Mindset by Carol Dweck. So I've sort of powered through some content here tonight, but any questions? And thank you for being here. And I'm going to try and find this chat box, but maybe some people can chat.
So I loved it, Pollyanna. I thought it was great. And yeah, hopefully, look, we've got a bit of time. So if anyone's got anything you want to ask or anything like that, please ask Pollyanna. I loved showing the desired belief. I loved hearing that story about that lady. That to me has just really resonated in my head so much. She was, this angry, had all these awful things about her, and just by believing, even though it was the whole fake it till you make it, that she was a nice it actually came about that she was, and people only saw that in her then. So
what's really important, G, is she didn't have to believe it. Is all you focus on is what are the behaviors. So you don't focus on the belief, and you don't focus on the outcomes, you focus on the behaviors. So if we go back to that slide, that's what she focused on. How good is that? That's so easy. I don't know what that's doing across there. That's exciting. So what she did was she focused on her behaviors. How often do we tell our children, for those of us with children, we can always control how we behave? Yes, we can. So all she had to do was say, right, I'm going to speak up more in this meeting. I'm going to be more open. I'm going to have more positive body language. I'm going to smile. It's not rocket science. None of this is rocket science, which is the best bit about it. So focus on the desired behavior. Don't worry about the outcome. Don't worry about the belief. Just focus on the desired behavior. And then when you see these behaviors coming up, then stop doing them. Just go, oh, I notice I'm being defensive. What does defensive sound like? Well, it sounds like this. Oh, gosh, I just said that. Yeah, so you focus on the actual behavior, the desired behavior. That gets you all of that.
Great.
So, yeah.
So for anybody, who's putting this into their LifeVantage business, their belief might have been, I don't like talking to strangers, or I hate, I'm no good at sales when they say that. And I always say, well, that's good, because this isn't about sales, it's sharing. But if they were to take on that they are going to speak up more, and they are going to be more confident when they talk about it, rather than be nearly defensive with their product, or angry. So if we all change that behavior, and it is all about that whole thing of not being in the convincing business and not caring what the outcome is, as long as your behavior changes.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be confident. So one of my crusades, I do a lot of keynote talks around changing the narrative for women in leadership. And I was asked to do a conference last week, and they said, will you talk on powerful communication and confidence? I'm like, yeah, sure. I said, but I'm going to chuck rocks at communication and confidence as being required. And they went, yeah, that's fine. So my first slide was, powerful communication, confidence not required. But you don't need to be confident. Nothing good in life has ever been achieved. Nothing worthy in life has ever been achieved waiting for confidence first. So the limiting narrative is that we need confidence first. We absolutely do not. And for everybody, stop telling women and stop telling young girls that they just need more confidence. No, we don't. We just need to create opportunities. We just need to mentor, coach, and build skills and capabilities. It's the same for this, regardless of whether we are a man or a woman, regardless of gender. It's confidence actually doesn't matter. Because how often have people said, oh my gosh, you look so confident. You're going, oh my God, I thought I was just going to, fall over. I was having such a heart attack. It actually doesn't matter. So just forget confidence. That's a narrative that holds us back, because we're waiting for something that's not going to come until we build that rhythm of doing it. And I just think that's so, what a relief, hey? What a relief.
That's really true. So we don't have to wait for confidence. We can just start behaving.
Yeah.
The outcome that we want.
Just do the behavior, and then lo and behold, what happens? Your beliefs change and your outcomes change without having to, you can go just focus on belief and act as if. It's not effective though. It's good to have those vision boards and keep it front of mind, yes. However, identifying the behavior, it's a hack. It's just a really clever little hack to go, I don't know how to do that. Oh yeah, I just got to speak. That's very easy. I just smile in this meeting. Or I'll talk to 4 friendly people, and I'll leave the grumpy people to somebody else, or I'll refer them on to G or Charlotte, or, it's just, it's just focus on some behaviors and some rhythms and that cadence. Talk to 5 people every day.
So Pollyanna, because not many people know this, but you are one of the queens of signing up customers. You are a machine. This lady, seriously, like one month, I think you signed up about 20 customers. The next month, she makes it a point of trying to have a customer a day. That's her philosophy. She just puts herself, like when I said to her, I got 2 Uber people, she's like, I've changed my driving now. I get Ubers because I want Ubers too as my customers. So can you give some of the people here, what is it that you do that is so successful What do you do that you create such a success when it comes to all these customers?
I just listen. So I set an intention every day about intention, that's the belief part. So I set an intention that I'm going to listen out, and if the opportunity presents itself, I will talk to that person about LifeVantage Protandim, because it's been a game changer for me health-wise. So I set the intention each morning that today I'm going to to everyone I meet. I'm going to listen, and if there's an opportunity to segue in a conversation about Protandim, because I truly believe it will be of service to them, I will. And then I just do, and I know you, sort of was laughing one day. I rang her up and I said, a person came, we're in a rental at the moment, so I've got the camera nicely positioned because I haven't quite unpacked all the boxes yet in my office. And someone came to quote, a beautiful lady came to quote me for packing up the house. And 5 minutes in, we'd never met. 5 minutes in, I've got a credit card and we're doing an auto ship. So how did that happen? It happened because I listened and I set that intention. I have a full-time business. I'm writing 2 more books. I've got 2 kids, and I've got to get, have some time with Sean, so we're still married after those kids, grow up and leave home. So how do I share this in the gaps and cracks? Well, I listen. So listening is talk less, listen more. There's a great acronym I use when I'm training leaders how to use coach approach in their leadership, and that is WAIT. Why am I talking? So we just talk too much. We just go, bleh, and we vomit all over people. So talk less, listen more. So when this beautiful lady came to to pack our house up, the moment she walked up, the first thing she said to me was, "Oh my God, don't look at me. I look so fat and ugly today." And I'm like, actually, I was looking at your eyes, and you've got the most beautiful eyes. And I was. It's congruent. It has to be congruent and real. Otherwise, you're just slimy, and then people are putting restraining orders on you. But it's just, I'm funny. You love my jokes, folks. So I just said, "You're actually beautiful." I think I'm just looking at your gorgeous eyes. She goes, "Oh, but I'm in my exercise gear." I said, "You're packing a house up, I'm not looking at what you're wearing. Come on in." She goes, "Oh," I said, "Well, so I chatted to her. I just started having a mindset conversation with her. And then I happened to I just got a new delivery of books. So I had, 200 books in the hallway. So I said, "Here, look here. This book might help. It's really useful." And so I gave her a copy of my book, and then we're just chatting away. And then she told me about her hysterectomy, and we had a conversation. And I just said, "Well, I'm on this supplement that's just been a health game changer for me." She goes, "I want some. Well, would you want to know about it?" Oh my gosh, that phone's going again. I'm so sorry. I know, like 5 minutes in, she's on auto ship, and we haven't had a quote yet for the house. So it's listening. So when you listen and then ask open questions, I'm a trained, qualified coach. I've been listening professionally, highly trained for 17 years. So I listen. So how you listen is what, when, how is the question set that you ask. What, when, how? What's important about this? When did that happen? Never ask why, and never ask a question that's a closed question. So do a Google search on open questions or coaching questions, and you'll get a whole load of questions. Just have a couple in your back pocket. My favorite coaching question is, "Tell me more." If you've got no idea what to say, just go, "Tell me more." And then you zip it. Then you just zip it, and you use your ear. Listening is an ears exercise, not a mouth exercise. Practice your open questions. So that's what I do, Charlotte. I'm not sure. I keep looking at G, and you've got Charlotte's name underneath because you want to log in. G, I listen. And I was at the hairdresser's getting my highlights done last week, and I overheard the lady next to me complaining about inflammation in her ankles. And just as I left, I just got up, I handed her my card, and I said, "I used to have that. Doctor told me that the only way to get rid of my calcified lumps on the backs of my legs, on my heels, was by surgery. And he now calls me medically impossible for all the other healing I've done. If you want to know more, give me a buzz. I'll be home after 4. And I gave her my card, and then the hairdresser said, "Oh my God, she's just a wealth of knowledge on this." That's all I said. So listen, and having the courage, or just being of service. So if you draw a triangle, and in that triangle you have 3 sections: self, other, climate. Self is when it's all about you. You've got to get out of self. Yeah, because it's not about you. And we're not as important. We are important. I want everyone to know that they're all beautiful and everyone's important. However, the person who's sitting opposite you, get into them, evoke deep curiosity. What's going on for that human being over there? Don't fix and solve that person. Just listen and ask a couple of open questions and be intensely curious, and then see what comes. It's not, again, not rocket science. Anyone can do it. So just start to listen. Does that answer the question?
That's fantastic. Yes, thank you. Does anybody have any other questions? No, there's been lots. Everyone's been writing how much they've loved it. You can't see the chat, but I'm seeing it, and it's lovely. So yeah, everyone's just writing how much they've got from all this and really enjoyed it. So good. Thank you. Yeah. So really, really enjoyed. I've been waiting for confidence, not anymore. I love it. So that was really good. So fantastic training. Yeah, everyone said. So thank you so much, Pollyanna. And I just want to say to everyone just before month end that the pace setter, if you're running for the Pro 2, if you made Pro 2 last month and running for it this month, or running for Pro 3, that you hadn't got by the end of January, there'll be a $250 US bonus. So look at your just look at your points over the next few days. We normally say that your points can double sometimes after the 20th. Like I've seen, myself and Charlotte have seen many a time that points double from after the 20th. So don't start thinking, oh my gosh, it's never going to happen. Look at me, da 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 da. Wrong belief, Pollyanna. So go with your behavior.
The behavior that then enforces that belief.
Yeah. So the behavior is that you just keep talking to everyone and just, believe that it's actually going to be happening anyway. So keep that behavior up of talking to everybody and signing people up till that last moment, because then bonuses are really, really good. And then if you make this Pro 3 one, then the following month you can maintain Pro 3 and get another $250 US. So I just want to thank Pollyanna so much for tonight. I loved it. I will get these slides up, and I will also get the recording up. I'm going to stop now, and I will get this recording up as well. So yes, thank you.
Sorry about the phone going off. We only have a landline for Sean's mum and dad, and they rang tonight from London. So I'm so sorry about that. Maybe you can edit it out.
That's okay, no problem. Thank you, lovely. Okay.
You're so welcome. Bye, everybody. See you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Pollyanna.
You're welcome, love. See you.